This demonstration is going to be for how to find relative maximum and relative minimum on your TI-83 or TI-84 calculator. For this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and use the TI-83 Plus version here on the computer. First thing I'm going to do is I'll back up here and show you what I'm doing. I go into y equals and I enter in my function. This case we're using x cubed minus 2x. When I'm graphing this, a lot of times I like to start with a standard zoom window, which is zoom 6. Okay, you can either arrow down to it and hit enter. Oops, I went one too many. Or you can just press 6 and it'll go right to it. So what this window is, the standard window is from -10 to +10 on both axes. We look at this, and this graph is pretty much fine for what we need, but we don't need all this space out here to the right and to the left, so maybe to make it a little bit better, we'll reduce that a little bit. I'll try going from -3 to +3, and that should make the graph now take up much more of the window from left to right, which it does. I'm going to go one step further. This is unnecessary, but I'm going to do it just to demonstrate all these numbers right here. It goes 0 to 10 on the y-axis. I don't think I need all that, so I'm just going to change that and make this graph look a little bit nicer. I'll go -5 to +5. Okay, and now we should have a nice, neat picture of our graph. So the maximum value is going to be right over here. All right, relative maximum, and over here we have a relative minimum. So I want to show you how to find those points. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the trace function here. Trace is not an accurate way to find these things, but it is a nice way to kind of just show how the function behaves with regards to its shape. What I like to do here is I'll go over to the left here and we'll talk about increasing and decreasing sections on a function graph. So from left to right, we look at the y values, what happens as we move the cursor. So on the first interval here, leading up to the relative maximum, this is going to be an increasing function in this area because as I look at it from left to right, the function is going to go up. And what I mean by that, the function value is the y values over here. So I'm going to use my right arrow on my calculator and I'm going to move on over. Okay. And right about there is about as high as it gets. Okay. So in that first interval from -infinity, and it starts way down in -infinity and comes up to this point right here, right about there, that's our increasing interval. Now if I continue on from this point, I make an interval from here, and I notice that when I keep going to the right, the y values decrease because this graph is coming down from left to right. So from that point on the maximum up, down, right about to that point here, that is a decreasing interval on this function. And then as I continue to the right from here, the function is once again increasing, and it will continue to do so until it gets up to positive infinity. It'll just keep on going forever. Now the trace feature is nice for showing that, but it's really not good for zeroing in on exact values. In order to do that, we're going to use the calculate option up here, which is above the trace button. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. We'll go to second trace. This is the calculate screen. If we were looking for where the graph crosses the x-axis, I would use 0. But I'm looking for maximum and minimum, so I'm going to use these two. So let's see how this works. First, we'll do the minimum. Now the minimum of the graph is going to be this point right here. This is a relative minimum. Now it's asking me to do a left bound. What they're telling me is, all right, I think the minimum is right about there. They want me to put the cursor somewhere left of that point. That'll be good. Hit enter. Now it says right bound, so they want me to put the cursor somewhere to the right of this point. So I use my right arrow and I just move on over somewhere to the right. They want you to guess. You could just hit enter a third time, and what it's going to do is it's going to check every point in between these 2 points that you selected. It's going to plug them into the function, and it's going to stop when it gets one that gives it the lowest value within that interval, and that's what this is. So that's a pretty darn accurate coordinate for the minimum there. We'll do the same thing up here for the maximum. Second trace. This time we're going to choose maximum. You can either arrow down and hit enter, or you could just press the number 4. Both will work. So for the maximum, again, I think the maximum is right there. So left bound means I'm going to put the cursor on the left side of that. Hit enter. Right bound means I'm going to go to the right side of that. Hit enter. A third time, and I there have a maximum. And so that is how you're going to find, for now, you're going to find the relative maximum and minimum using your TI-83 or 84 version calculators.